hope this matches something like what this song is doing. I hope you're hearing music and it's not just my voice just ringing out. Start over. Start over. Andrew Pike says, alright, pop it on. Let me jump over. Just moving that around. Getting things set up here and seeing how we go about it. Don't know how this sounds. I'm doing a weird, like, song right here as their sci-fi songs abound. Alright, I'm gonna pop on. There we go. Hello, everybody. Let me pop on music. That should be some music there. I can't hear it for some reason because some weird stuff went down. So I cannot hear the music, but hopefully you can. Also, sorry that the camera's a bit bright. Oh, that should be better. There we are. Hello. Oh, you are a ray of light, Mountain Lily. Hello. Let me just make sure everything's set up on my end. That's all going good. Hello, everybody. I hope everyone's doing really well. Heart to everybody. Hello, Lewis. By the way, Lewis, I got your letter and I read it and it was incredibly sweet. I don't want to share anything personally because I don't want to say it on a live stream, but it was very sweet and your poem at the end was also very wonderful. So thank you for that. Yes, Miranda, good to see you. I know I need to get back on Mastodon. I haven't really done much on there. Adrenaline, Venara, good to see you. And Gay, I'm glad you watched. Yes, I'm glad you watched Andor. Good, good. I have gotten you into the Andor vibes. Let's see who else is here. Okampa, good to see you. Lewis, I already said hi to you. Casey, good to see you. Who else is here? Andrew Clegg, I think I said hello. Well, hello everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's having a wonderful, beautiful day. Also, my face looks weird today. I don't know. Maybe it's just the. Is it just the angle this computer does that? I don't know. My face just looked weird in that angle. Hello. So I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's having a good Thursday. I hope everyone's just doing their best. And I'm sorry that you cried strawberry heart to you. I know that video is rough and stuff. It's rough. Before we get too far in the stream, just two things that I wish to say. First up is just a reminder of what the stream is. This is my weekly chat stream. I'm doing it a bit early today, just because I got a couple things in the evening personally that I want to get done this evening. So I figured I'd do the live stream a little bit early. Normally it's at 6, but we're doing it early today. So welcome to the chat stream where for about an hour I just talk with you all about what all of you want to talk about. You bring topics to the table, I chat about it for however long. Be about trans issues, and be about LGBTQ issues, politics, things like that. Or going to be about weird nerdy nonsense, Star Trek, Star Wars, whatever. Avatar, The Way of the Water, like whatever you all want to talk about, I will talk about. Super chats get hearts, and I answer those questions as best I can, but I try to keep up on the chat as best I can. And thank you for people saying you like the pin. I like this pin too. I love this comm badge so much. It's like it's honestly one of my favorite Star Trek-y things that I own. Actually, is this comm badge. So thank you. But yeah, talk about all of you. Talk about if you have a question for anything for me to answer, and you can't do a super chat, try and just tag me at Jessie Gender, because it pops up as orange in the chat, and I'm better able to see it in the chat. So just pop it that way if you can. The other thing, and I did see Miranda. Sorry, I've been busy. I haven't been able to respond to your email, but I did see it. The only other thing that I just wish to say, and it's going to be an off-limits topic for today. I will not get into it. So if you know, you know, but there was some stuff that happened this weekend. I will just say this. It was a very stressful few days on Twitter stuff, Twitter drama. I'm not going to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it anymore for the time being. So I will not answer any questions about it. I will not talk about it, and I'm not going to mention anyone who is involved in it because I just want to be done with it, at least for the time being, unless something more happens. But as it stands, I don't want to talk about it, and we'll just let it go, let it die for the moment. So I just want to say it up front in case anyone had any questions or things that they wanted to talk about with that, just to let everyone know right up front about that. Yeah, right. Whatever happened to Tumblr drama? Missed the Tumblr drama. Twitter drama is its own nonsense. So we won't get into it here. So just be aware of that, that's not going to be a thing that I'm going to talk about. So if you have questions about that, I'm not going to answer anything about that. Unless it becomes pertinent again, in which case I will if it needs to be addressed. But as it stands now, it's dead. Let it go. Anywho, so we'll let that end there. Anyways, we can just do that. You're saying you barely hear me? I have the audio all the way up. There's literally no way I can make my audio louder. I mean, maybe put this like here, but like that's pretty damn... Is that better? That's about as close as I can get. Maybe I can do one thing. If you're saying I'm too low. Let's see if I can pop it up louder. Give me a second. I might be able to pop it up. No, it's literally... I have done nothing, changed nothing, and my audio is quite literally at the loudest it can be. Oh, you know what it could be? I can do one more. That might help. How's that? Is that better? That sound better? That might do it better. Okay. All right. Okay. So hopefully that sounds much better. Okay. Not gay. I'm a gynophile. Can I still hang out? Meaning you like vaginas, which is also fine. We like vaginas here. If you're a gynophile, if you're just someone who likes vaginas, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You're totally welcome. Everyone's welcome here. The only people that are not welcome in my channel and in my stream are people who are hateful and bigots. This is a place for people to learn, and if you're anywhere that anyone is on their learning journey about trans people, LGBTQ people, about anything, politics, social issues, things like that, you are all welcome here. The only people who aren't welcome are hateful bigots, who wish to be mean and cruel and don't wish to learn and don't wish to be welcoming. So if you're any of those things, any of those people, you're not welcome here. Anyone else is welcome here. I also missed a few super chats already, so I just want to make sure I get those. John Vittles, Avatar: The Way of Water Bending. Yeah. I wish it was an Avatar. Well, maybe I don't wish it was an Avatar: The Last Airbender movie. Maybe I wish it was a good Avatar: The Last Airbender movie. But yeah, I'm not hating on Avatar: The Way of Water. I'm not going to see it, but I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to hate on it. But from what I've heard, like, nothing encourages me about it. Like, it looks like it's going to be a very pretty movie, but it's like, I don't know if I want to pay all that money to watch a 3-hour movie. 3-hour movie plus another half an hour with probably like trailers and such. Like a 3.5-hour movie that's like the same movie that I already saw. And I'm sure it's going to look gorgeous. I don't mind seeing gorgeous things. But I've come to learn as I get older, like, I just need movies that are like, I want gorgeous movies, but I want movies that have depth to their gorgeousness. Like The Northman and Everything Everywhere All at Once were two of the prettiest movies I've seen this year. They are freaking gorgeous, but those visuals are backed up by the visuals mean something and have depth to them. And apparently Avatar: The Way of the Water is the same thing as the original Avatar, again, just now underwater. Like, quite literally, apparently the story beats in some scenes are scene for scenes the same thing. So yeah, I'm probably going to see Avatar: The Way of the Water, but I'm not, like, rushing out to see it. I'm not, like, super excited. And no shame to anyone who is. If you're pumped about the movie, please. That's awesome. I support you, and I think that's cool. For me, I'm less excited about it. Oh, that's amazing, Casey. James Gunn's videos. We can talk about James Gunn. I feel really bad for Henry Cavill. I know I need to look at these other super chats, but man, poor Henry Cavill. I was actually really excited to see him back as Superman, but I trust James Gunn. It's I blame Warner Brothers and David Zaslav specifically, but like even before David Zaslav came in, like Warner Brothers bungled so much of the DC universe. So I blame them, not James Gunn, for how Henry Cavill was treated. James Gunn's just trying to do his best with the tools that he has, and sadly sometimes it doesn't include people like Henry Cavill. But poor man. Anywho, quick, let's see what else we got here. Our philosophy is hard to you. You said, hey, Jesse, how do you feel about RTD2? Like Russell T. Davies on what is RTD2? Are you talking about Russell T. Davies on Doctor Who? What is RTD? Russell T. Davies. Okay, yeah. Oh, I'm very pumped for it. Which, by the way, I just want to say, E, thank you so much for your super chat. I will address what you said in a minute, but like that's a very generous super chat. And also they have like this little the fireworks banner is very cool. I like that. That's really awesome. But hard to you. But yeah, RTD2, our philosophy is I'm very excited for Russell T. Davies to return to Doctor Who. While there is a part, I think I've said this before, while there is a part of me that is certainly also let me put up the chat here so I can make sure I stay up on the chat. While there is a part of me that is I would have much rather have seen a new showrunner come in. Like, guys, Russell T Davies has already had a chance to write Doctor Who, and like his era of Doctor Who is my favorite era of Doctor Who, by far, like easily. Like, there's not even a question. So I am by no means but personally I would have preferred a new writer or showrunner to come in. But that being said, if they were going to bring back anyone, Russell T Davies is great, because not only is he is a gay man who I know will write LGBTQ stories, but he has always been about pushing the diversity and inclusion in his stories, and been very active about what he says is like bullshit. Like, he called out the MCU for like the very cursory level of representation with bisexuality with the Loki series, of just like, oh, there's just he called it a craven, futile gesture. So like, he is a great queer ally to people that are outside of his identity as a gay man. But he like is a great supportive. He's also a brilliant writer. Like, he provides great arcs for his characters, and yet he's also not above being a bit weird and wacko. That's what I love about Russell T Davies shows and eras. Like, his shows are very serious, very pointed, very political, very, very like deep as stories, but also he does like weird stuff too, like farting aliens and stuff. Like, that's just wonderful. And I am always here. Like, if y'all know me and my love of Star Trek, what I love about Star Trek is the fact that it is weird and strange and out there, while also being deeply philosophical and political and just really thoughtful, but also isn't afraid to be weird. And I love that about RTD. And then the other thing too with him is that he is bringing David Tennant back, which like I know is my dose of nostalgia, but David Tennant is my Doctor forever and one of my favorite actors of all time, and just seems like a wonderful, amazing person. If you have not seen Stage that he does with Michael Sheen, it's amazing. Go watch Stage. It's the most adorable and yet deeply clever, surprisingly, thing that you will watch. Like, the 3 seasons of Staged is amazing and will warm your heart with David Tennant and Michael Sheen's bromance. But while it is very nostalgic with bringing David Tennant back, it seems to be self-aware of that. And so I'm actually very excited that Russell T Davies actually may be making a commentary about nostalgia and how you can't go back to things and how things do always change and move forward, and sort of like a self-commentary on his own returning to the franchise. I think in a really cool way. So I on every level, I am excited for Russell T Davies. Literally the only hesitation that I have with Russell T Davies coming back is the fact that he's already done it. And I would have rather see someone else's new interpretation of Doctor Who. But that being said, if anyone else is going to come back, I'm excited to see him. My favorite thing though, with him is just all the Doctor Who fans, right? All those like anti-SJW fans who like hated Chris Chibnall because he sucks and he was a woke SJW nonsense man. All the people railing against the woke era of Chris Chibnall then are like praising Russell T Davies coming back for a while. They did that for a little bit, being like, yeah, it's Russell T Davies, he'll save the franchise. Oh, I'm in for their rude awakening when he's like, screw y'all, this is gonna be the most woke fucking thing. I love it. I'm excited for it. They're already saying that. They're already going against like, oh, Russell T Davies has gone woke with Doctor Who, and they just forget that like his original era of Doctor Who was always like very deeply progressive. Like, the farting aliens were meant to be anti-government. Like, that was what they're about. And also, there was queer rap all over that stuff. It was so great. So, yeah, he's amazing. And that just shows to, like, the anti-woke merchants what they're really about. Like, they are either... The anti-woke, like, hate merchants come in 2 varieties. Either they are smart enough to realize that they are peddling nonsense, and it's just to rile up their base, and they actually intentionally are just, like, ignoring the fact that these things are always political in order to like sell their merch, and they're very aware of it. That's the smart, and not that they're particularly smart people all around, but if they're smart, they're self-aware of the nonsense they're spewing. And if they're not smart, they just completely forget and didn't understand how to read these media in the first place, and are just like forgetting through their nostalgic lens that these things are always political. Just maybe have lost a little bit of their edge just because of time passing, and the messages of the time are not necessarily directly as didactic as they are today, but they still were there, and these messages are still political and universal. Like, government is farting aliens in fact. And maybe not the exact like UK government at the time that episode was critiquing, but still, politicians are farting alien nonsense people. So those are the 2 varieties of woke merch. So long story short, very excited for Russell T Davies. Oh, great God, thank you so much. Sending you love as well. All right. Next up, You said, S. Rose, heart to you, said, would you be up for talking about Farscape? You mentioned it a couple times in videos. It's my favorite. S. Rose, have I got something very exciting for you? I actually did an entire podcast about Farscape, doing where I went through every episode of Farscape with my friend Vera. If you check out in the comments below, there's a Babylon 5 podcast right now that I'm doing with Vera, but that is what we started after we finished Farscape. So if you actually go back in that feed, you'll find our show called What the Frell. It's in the same feed as the Jumpgate podcast where we're going through Babylon 5 right now. Which, dear God, that show feels so prescient. It's like very anti-fascist, and that's sad that is deeply prescient right now. I mean, always anti-fascist, but like the messages and themes of rising fascism in a government in that show are sadly all too relevant. But anywho, Babylon 5 is great, but if you go back in that podcast, I did a whole thing on Farscape. So if you want all of my thoughts on every single episode of Farscape, it exists already. At some point, I want to possibly do a video on, like, sex in Farscape, like how sex and sexual, relations are done in Farscape, because I think it was actually done fairly maturely throughout that series, especially for its time, but I haven't done one yet, but yeah, that's my thought generally on Farscape as we go through it, so. Alright, let's see. The Dawn of Van Life, heart to you, my friend. Thank you so much for the super chat. That's a very generous super chat. Mwah. Thank you so much, my friend. Chloe, heart to you, said, if you haven't yet watched Conan the Barbarian, just know that it's a great movie to watch during the holidays. I know, I will watch it. I mean, I'll bring the Blu-ray home and I will watch it over Christmas break. I will watch it this year. I promise you. Sex Babylon 5 I could do. Babylon 5, I don't think, at least where we're at in season 2, I don't think Babylon 5 handles sex as maturely. Like, Babylon 5 handles a lot of things maturely. Dealing with fascism, genocide, imperialism, colonialism. I think the show handles all of those things really well. I don't think that Babylon 5, at least as I'm doing my rewatch with Vera in season 2, I don't think it actually handles sex very maturely. There's a lot of humor that is very juvenile, often at the expense of women, degrading to women. It's not like, I'm not like calling like J. Michael Straczynski or anyone like a super sexist or anything like that, but it's very like indicative of 90s era television towards women and sex in a way that I think Farscape was much more progressive, not perfect, but much more progressive for its time when it came out. Whereas Babylon 5 I think is very much of its era and sometimes a little bit regressive. It is very good about so many things. That aspect, I don't think so. But again, I'm only in season 2, so it might get better. And I know that there was queer rep that J. Michael Straczynski wanted to be more explicit in the show. That got tamped down a little bit, and it is there in the show, so I'm here for that. But some of the stuff in that show is a bit, like the way Garibaldi treats women, sometimes the way Ivanova is treated in sometimes humorous ways. And those actors are great, especially Ivanova's actor. She's freaking fantastic and does well with whatever she's given, but sometimes not great. All right. E, again, thank you so much. That was a super generous super chat. Sorry, went down. Thank you so much for it. I really appreciate it, my friend. You said, I appreciate everything you do, and thank you for setting a boundary on that topic. It's been an exhausting month. Thank you for being you, and your badge is awesome. I hope you can get that tasty snack because you deserve it. Oh, thank you so much. I mean, the snack that sorry, this is going to be my thing. I'm going to make this joke. The snack that I want right now is Kratos. Sorry, because there's that joke, if anyone watched God of War Ragnarok, anyone played that game, there's a joke in that game about snacks, about Kratos says, I do not want a snack, and I'm like, oh honey, you are the snack. Gotta love my boy Christopher. The reason he's on my mind is a friend of mine, we were talking about how Christopher Judge, who plays Teal'c in Stargate SG-1, and is in, he was Kratos in the God of War games. Christopher Judge is amazing, and he recently on Twitter was super supportive of LGBTQ people, so we stand Christopher Judge here. I'm so glad that he won the Game Award. I'm so glad that he won the Game Award for Best Performance. I adore him for winning that, and people were like, oh, he's talking for so long, he's giving a long speech. I'm like, the man had to say indeed for 10 years. He had to sit there and just go, indeed, for 10 years. So let the man talk as long as he wants, especially after his freaking performance in God of War, where he was amazing. So we stand Christopher Judge here. He is fantastic. And last night, a friend of mine, were talking about that, and we watched Window of Opportunity, the time loop episode of SG-1, just for Christopher Judge, and he's great. Christopher Judge is wonderful, and we stan that beautiful, beautiful man. Heart and soul, he is a beautiful man. So we stand Christopher Judge here. And if you have not played God of War Ragnarok, there is probably at some point in my life there is probably a video essay in me about God of War Ragnarok. I have to be careful about it because I do stuff for GameSpot, and because I do stuff with GameSpot, I'm not allowed to talk about video games as much on my own personal channel, just due to the rules of that sort of agreement and stuff. But if they let me, or if I ever leave GameSpot or something like that, I will. There was definitely a video essay about me for God of War Ragnarok. So, just checking that out. Let's see. Catching up. Does this mean Henry Cavill can be Geralt again? I doubt that. I mean, like I said, I feel bad. I said it at the top of the stream. I feel really bad for Henry Cavill because he has. Also, are you seeing me? My live stream feed cut out a little bit, so let me know if my feed is down. But I feel really bad for Henry Cavill because of, like, the way that Warner Bros. Treated him. I doubt that he's going to come back as Geralt because some people are saying, like, he left his job on The Witcher to go back to being Superman, and I don't think that that's 100% the case. I'm sure there was an influence on it, but it sounds like there was more behind-the-scenes differences with people with The Witcher, and choices that people made with The Witcher behind the scenes that were frustrating him, which sucks because he's great in that role. Like, he is wonderful as Geralt, and no shade to Liam Hemsworth. I'm sure he'll do fine, but like I will watch the next season of The Witcher, just for him, for Henry Cavill, because Henry Cavill is still gonna be in that season, if I'm remembering correctly. But then once that season ends, I'm unsure if I'll care about The Witcher after that, which sucks because it was like, I don't love The Witcher, but it was a fun enough show. But like he was the reason to watch it, not Liam Hemsworth. Again, no shade to Liam Hemsworth, but Henry Cavill was the reason to watch The Witcher. So, plus also, I forget her name, but the actress who plays Ciri, Ciri's also great in that show. So, oh, thank you, Zizix. I was really proud of that Andor video a lot. Catching up. Jack Sheehy, thank you so much for your super chat. Heart to you. You said, what is your favorite animated movie of all time? It's a hard one to answer. I could probably come up with a few. I mean, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is definitely up there. I love that movie to death, and I think the animation is fantastic. An old favorite is, I'm actually a huge fan of The Great Mouse Detective. I adore The Great Mouse Detective so much. Like, that movie is just, it's creepy, it's scary, but yet it's also Disney-y, but it's also Sherlock Holmesy, and I'm always a sucker for Sherlock Holmes sort of stuff. Like, The Great Mouse Detective is a fantastic movie. Like, I think one of the defining moments of my childhood is the opening of that movie where the bat guy, like, bursts in through the window, and it's that horrifying looking face that he has that they drew. And, like, I feel like a lot of my aesthetic comes from that moment in my life, because I love horror stuff, and I love scary stuff, and, like, that shot just is always, like, rung in my brain, specifically. And so, like, the trauma of that moment, and also Ratigan being all destroyed and evil, fighting on Big Ben at the end, was also great. So I think those are probably two of my favorite. I probably could think of more, if I sat here. I'm sure there's, like, some, Coraline is up there. I'm sorry, I'm looking at a list now just to, like, call out some that come to my mind. Coraline, Princess Mononoke. Everyone loves Spirited Away, and Spirited Away is great, but I love Princess Mononoke more. I adore Princess Mononoke. But Princess Mononoke would probably be on there. Coraline is probably on there, almost for sure. Just like I said, I whenever people ask me for recommendations, I'm always bad at, like, instantaneously calling up stuff. But those are the three that, like, the four that come immediately to mind. Great Mouse Detective, in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Coraline, and Princess Mononoke. I'm sure there's more. I'm sure I could think of another one that might be on that list, but those are certainly, if not the top ones, close to. Hard to you, Geek. I have seen Nausicaa in the Valley of Wind. I like Nausicaa in the Valley of Wind. Not my favorite, but I definitely like it. Secret of Nim, also really great, too. Kubo and the Strings is also great. I love that as well. I think some of its story, it's a little bit messy at the end, but otherwise a really beautiful film. Pinocchio is a recent favorite, by the way. If you have not seen Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, mwah, fantastic, lovely. Geek Filter, heart to you. Love that comm badge. Are you going to do gaming on Saturday? L on Z. Possibly. Again, sorry I've been on and off with doing gaming on Saturday recently. It's just been, life has been busy. And so either Saturdays I've either been busy or have needed to take a break. So apologies that I have not done as much streaming on Saturday. I do hope to get back to it, especially in the new year and hopefully this weekend. But it'll sort of depend. But next year I plan on getting back into being more regular with my gaming Saturday streams. So apologies that I've been hit or miss on those. Okay. Carlisle, listen to file. I'm the doctor, not anymore, baby. That soul exchange is even more funny and high, right? That is a funny from Stage. That is a great looking back, Carlisle. I love that. Go watch Stage if you haven't watched it. Thank you. It's amazing. John Vittles, heart to you. You said there's also a strong element of the companions and the families. You're talking about Doctor Who. The companions and the families, the ordinary people around them matter just as much as the time traveling God alien versus Moffat. Weird. The Doctor is God angle. Yeah, I mean that generally tends to happen. The over-aggrandizement. I mean Moffat's writing generally tends to over-aggrandize his main characters. You see that a lot with Sherlock and the Doctor. And there's even a little bit of that to a degree with Chris Chibnall. Chris Chibnall's writing, I mean, there's a lot of problems to talk about Chris Chibnall's writing, but one of the aspects that I liked about Chris Chibnall, in his, at least an attempt or an idea that he had, was to make the Doctor a little bit more distanced from her companions, despite wanting that closeness. I thought that was a good idea. I don't know if it was executed particularly well, but I like the idea of that as the Doctor. But I think under Russell T Davies, they, like, made the companions very ordinary people. And Amy Pond is a fairly ordinary person, too, though a bit, like, quirkatized, though I love Amy Pond to death. And then Jenna Coleman, Clara was a mystery box. She got better with 12, but still had that problem. But yeah, no, I think Russell T Davies is much more about like everyday people, with his writing than I think any of the other Doctor writers have been, and I like that quite a lot. Like Rose just being like a lower middle class character. You can even argue me not even middle class. Like I just loved that about her. Same thing with like all of them. I thought they were all great. All right, let's see. Jack Hart, you said, which animated characters do you relate to in terms of how flawed they are and how they improve over time? Oh boy, you're coming. See, this is why that's hard for me. Like I said, I'm very bad at coming up with like recommendations off the top of my head as like favorites. I can give recommendations off the top of my head, but I'm bad at like giving favorites or specific characters. I mean, Miles Morales, I really love. And like I said, everything to do with Super Desi. Super Desi, that is an incredibly generous super chat. Super Desi, thank you so much. That is really, really sweet. Thank you. I'm sending you a huge heart, my friend. Thank you, my friend. I'll get to your chat in a minute, but that is really generous. Thank you so much. What was I saying? Sorry, I was distracted by people being super generous. But yeah, no, Miles Morales and everyone in Into the Spider-Verse, I related to because it was all about like becoming and all about like finding your own voice as yourself and like how we can find community and solidarity, and it's all about finding your own way to express your identity through certain things like Spider-Man as a metaphor for that. Be it how we're all Spider-Man, we're all these heroes in a way, and sort of ubiquitizing that idea in a really beautiful way. And you know, searching for identity in the way that Miles does in that movie is something that I very much identify with, you know, in numerous levels. So I really relate to Miles in that sense. Pinocchio in the recent movie, for very obvious reasons, like again about becoming, finding yourself, finding your identity, very much like something I resonate with a lot. Yeah, I think those would be like two that I would give right off the top of my head as like good answers to that. John. One sec, my thing skipped ahead. Johnny said, the villain of Forgotten City, the villain of Died in Paranormal Park, rich and powerful humans who hijack the afterlife in order to live forever in their own personal... Yeah. Not inaccurate. I need to play Forgotten City again. God, I love that game. The twist at the end of that game is phenomenal. I won't spoil for people, but if you haven't played Forgotten City, it's so good. One of my favorite... In fact, my favorite game of last year. That and Psychonauts 2 were my two favorite games of last year. I adore those games to death. As I hit this. Jack again. Hard to you. Why do you think of the Living Color sketch Big Buff and Beautiful was starred Jim Carrey in the early years? I actually have not seen that, unfortunately, Jack. I wish I had, but I've not seen the Living Color sketch. I've only seen a few Living Color sketches. I think there was like a Star Trek one that they did that I saw, but I actually haven't seen that one, so sorry about that. Moonflower Gal, hello! You're also a great dork. Good to see you, Moonflower Gal. Mwah. Hello, my friend. Carlisle Cinephile said, between God of War, The Witcher 3, and The Last of Us, which is your favorite Sad Dad simulator game? Those are all Sad Dad simulator games. God of War, though, easily. Especially Ragnarok. I think that what I love a lot about Ragnarok, and again, there's a video essay me about this. Yeah, Booty Wolf, I saw that, by the way. I see your super chat, and we'll talk about that if you want to. Because, yeah, we should talk about that, to be honest. God of War Ragnarok, I think was such a great dad game. Because what I think it does that I think The Last of Us and The Witcher also does it, but Last of Us I don't think especially. Those are about dads unable to really connect with their childhood characters and sometimes overriding their personal choices for their own, and the trauma that comes out of that. And then God of War has that too, and Last of Us has that too, but Last of Us is very much about how that can get interrupted in the cycle of violence and things like that, and trauma that can come out of all of that. But God of War, I think what it does really well is it talks about how it has such an emotional intelligence and how you can work through those things, and how, yes, there will be times where you're you struggle with each other, both as parent and child, but you come to understand each other and respect each other's personhood as parent and child. And while parents have things to teach and have a worry and care for their child, especially in Ragnarok, like Kratos really is scared for his son and wants to protect him, but is also working to allow his son to have his own agency and understand that he's his own person, and also trying to give his son the tools to go into the world on his own and teach him on his own, so that he won't make the same mistakes that he does, but also continually respecting his agency. I mean, I think this is one of the biggest. This is why I love God of. I mean, there's many reasons I love God of War. It's also very anti-imperialist, very workers' rights game. And, like, there's a lot of politics in that game that I thought were really wonderful. But at its core, I think it gets at the heart of something that I think is a large part of an issue that we see in a lot of rhetoric today around trans people specifically. This isn't what God of War specifically is about, but it kind of gets to the same core of it. Like, you look at a lot of anti-trans rhetoric, anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, and it focuses on children, right? And how transness is child grooming, and blah, 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 blah. Being LGBTQ is a child grooming activity, da, 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 da. And while a lot of that rhetoric gets stoked by hateful people being bigots to try and use this rhetoric for their own power, a lot of people resonate with it, and a lot of parents who are very bigoted and transphobic resonate with it. And you see this a lot in turf spaces, is that they want to control who their children are, because they see their children as an extension of themselves, and they want their children to be exactly the way that they are and fit into these molds of themselves and these molds that they see them in society. And in some ways, out of desire to protect them, they want them to sort of like be what society has told them to be, but also more as an extension of self and controlling who they are, instead of respecting children as their own people and agency. We have in our culture very much of a disrespect for kids as full people. We don't see children as full people in our culture when they are. And yes, they may be learning and maybe don't have as full of an understanding of the world or experience about the world, but that's why we try to give them knowledge and give them experience, but we don't try to tell them who to be or how to exist in the world. We let them learn themselves and understand that they are full people. So I think that what I love about God of War as a dad game specifically, I mean, there's so many things to talk about God of War. Again, there's a video essay of me about this game specifically. But what I love about God of War Ragnarok is it is about that, and coming to terms with understanding that your child is their own person, and to respect that, while also struggling with understanding that yourself as a parent, but also how best to enable them to go into the world. I think it's such a really beautiful and emotionally intelligent game on so many levels, specifically that one. So yeah, God of War, easily the best, Carlisle Cinephile. I hope that answers your question really well. Geek Filter, hard to you said, and we still need to talk. Yes, we do. We do need to talk. Do I have it in my hand? I don't have it. It's in the other room. But by the way, everyone should go buy Star Trek Discovery. Recently came out with a trade paperback of what's the paperback called? It's Adventures of the 32nd Century or something like that. But there's a new Star Trek Discovery line of comics, and the cover art for that line of comics that just released in graphic novel form that I just got, and I have it in the other room, is done by Geek Filter, Aaron Harvey, who is amazing. Everyone support Aaron Harvey. He is wonderful and amazing, and he just did the art on the Star Trek Discovery comic that you should all go buy. Buy it for Christmas for yourself or for your friends and family, because it's wonderful and adorable, especially if you're a Star Trek Discovery fan. Aaron did the Geek Filter, did the art on it, so y'all should go support him. Hey, Trek Filter! Speaking Star Trek Discovery's Adventures in the 32nd Century. Yes, go check that out. Amazing. And also Trek Filter. Hey, good to see you, my friend. Love to you. How are you doing? Everyone should go subscribe to Trek on the Tube. Why did I call you Trek Filter? I combined you with Geek Filter. Trek on the Tube, excuse me. Trek on the Tube, good to see you, my friend. Everyone should go subscribe to Trek on the Tube's channel. He's wonderful, amazing, and a great person, and send him love. He just did a great timeline image that I shared out on Twitter. If you like cool Star Trek timelines and graphic design, you should definitely check out Trek on the Tube's recent timeline that I shared out on my Twitter. He's amazing. So Trek on the Tube, sending you love, my friend. All right, quick going through here. Chloe. Oh, Beardly, interesting. Thank you so much for your super chat, my friend. Heart to you. You are always incredibly generous, Beardly. Thank you so much for being generous. Thank you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Sending you love, Beardly, and I will get to your super chat in just a minute. But Chloe, you said they say that comedy is effective when it stands up to power, but Chappelle takes the bold approach to standing up with power. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into a whole thing with Dave Chappelle right now because of other stuff, but like, dear God, that whole Dave Chappelle bringing, like, Elon Musk on stage. I mean, I'm going to laugh at it to keep from crying because it's talking about Dave Chappelle and Elon Musk and how they're both, like, Elon Musk is one of the most powerful men in the world right now, and he's just gone down his own transphobic rabbit hole. But, like, and Dave Chappelle, like, there was nothing more neoliberal. Like, watching that happen where, like, Dave Chappelle brought Elon Musk on stage and everyone booed Elon Musk, and I'm like, there's nothing more neoliberal in this day and age than, like, having paid to see a Dave Chappelle concert performance, which means you're already like, fuck trans people, but then booing Elon Musk, it, like, does show how much, like, Elon Musk is being hated across the board, because as much as Elon Musk wants to say it was just 10% people booing me and it was all the woke leftists yelling at me, I'm like, woke leftists aren't really loving Dave Chappelle. Let's be clear on that. Now, there are a lot of liberal people who do love Dave Chappelle because they don't understand the need to support trans people or don't care about trans people. And, you know, there's a lot of probably, like, Democrats and liberals in Dave Chappelle's audience. Though I would argue there's probably a lot more right-wing folks in there. But even they are like, fuck Elon Musk. And it just goes to show, like, this is something that, like, it's always very frustrating to discuss, is like the things that, like, I express when I talk about, like, workers' rights and being anti corporations, anti-capitalists, anti-billionaires. These are all things that a lot of, like, people who feel like they're anti-woke left Marxists, on a regular human level, actually would resonate with, but they only view things of, like, they only see Marxism, they see, like, Democrats and Marxism on, like, the same level. Like, they're the people that say, like, Marxist corporations are a thing. You can't be a corporation to be Marxist. They're antithetical to each other, and because they don't understand what these things are. And so, like, there's a lot of right-wing people that are very, like, fuck Elon Musk, understandably so, because they understand that he is, like, part of this, like, privileged elite class that is, like, harming other people, and Elon Musk is so bad at what he's doing that, like, other people hate him, and it's just, like, not able to message that out really well, and just using culture war rhetoric in a really nonsense way, in a way that no one likes, and just very other than the dude bros who have bought into the cult of Musk understand. But it's like, leftists aren't the one at the Dave Chappelle concert booing you, Elon. So it's just a very strange thing to just, like, have watched that, because it's like people paid to go see Dave Chappelle in the year of our Luigi 2022, and then we're booing Elon Musk, and then Elon Musk is like, that's the woke leftists at the Dave Chappelle show. It's just frustrating. It's just frustrating how people, like, it's always minorities that get blamed for people in power feeling uncomfortable, you know? And, like, for sure, we are the ones that are making them feel uncomfortable because we exist and they don't want us to. But, like, no, people just fucking hate you. It's a whole thing. There's a lot to discuss with all of that, to be honest. I could do a whole breakdown on Dave Chappelle and Elon Musk. That's just, like, frustrating. Anywho, Super Desi, thank you again for that super generous super chat where you said, Merry Christmas, Jessie, and before you demur and say it's so generous, I already did that. You brought me so much joy this year, and since I can't give you a physical present, make next year be joyous for us all. Well, thank you, Super Desi. You are super generous, and I will tell you you are, but I appreciate you, my friend. You are lovely. Mwah, sending you love, my friend. Booty Wolf, you said, and this is something that we should talk about as well. Booty Wolf, you said Texas has made a registry of 16K transgender Texas citizens. I didn't know that actually happened. I know you tried to, but I guess that did actually happen. Urging everyone to be alert and stay safe. Yes, I want to be very, very clear. I want to. We've been making jokes, but I actually want to be very, very serious about this. This is something that actually happened. The governor of Texas. Last I heard, he was just asking for one from like people who had changed their gender marker on their license. I didn't know he actually was able to get it. Last I heard that they weren't able to provide it to him. But the very fact that he's asking, and it sounds like maybe he actually did get the list, is very deeply concerning. There is absolutely no situation in where a politician, someone in power, makes a list of names of minority people that ends well. So I want to be very clear. People in Texas, if you have the means, and I know it sucks to say this, if you have the means, get out of Texas. If you are an ally of trans people in Texas, support your trans friends, help them move, protect them as best as possible. That is deeply scary and troubling. And it is, and I'm going to be honest with all of you. I will always remain hopeful. I will always remain hopeful that, I will always remain hopeful that the fight is always worth it. The fight is always worth fighting. The fight is always we're always going to fight for each other. We always have each other. The trans community and the LGBTQ community and all minority people, when we stick together and have solidarity with each other, we are always stronger and we are always going to win. But that being said, I'm not going to lie and not say that things are not going to get worse. Things are going to get worse soon. We're already seeing it. We're already seeing it with I believe it was in North Carolina where there was that power outage, the shootout and the power outage that was caused by a directly anti-LGBTQ violence directed at a drag show. And you're seeing like mainstream media being very hesitant to say that, despite that being very clearly the case, stoked by places like Libs of TikTok. Shania, by the way, who has been outed, we should be saying, I forget her name, but I'm going to say it right here because she does not deserve any anonymity. The lady behind Libs of TikTok, creator, I'm going to say her name, Shania Rychek. Shania Rychek behind Libs of TikTok helped stoke that. Screw her. And it is getting worse, and it is getting very scary, and things like Texas making a registry of trans people is very, very terrifying. I made already a video about it with after the Club Q shooting, but that was, sadly, that video was already outdated within the week or two because of the North Carolina thing. So I want to be very clear. I support LGBTQ people defending ourselves in any way that takes. I think that we should all, if you are an ally of any marginalized group that is being attacked, but particularly trans people right now, particularly trans people of color, particularly indigenous trans women, and particularly black trans women, but all trans women of color and trans people everywhere, including trans men as well. So I want to be clear, I'm not leaving them out. But like, if you are an ally, be vocal. Be vocal, stand up. Don't just stand aside. Listen to trans people, not just me, like listen to other trans people. And be very vocal about your allyship and being desire to protect trans people and standing by trans people. The worst things that you can do, as they have always said, is stay silent in the face of stuff like this. It's very scary, very terrifying. If you are a trans person, be armed. I hate to say that. It's something that I am looking into currently. It sucks to say that. I do not like guns. I do not want a gun. It's not something that I actively encourage, but it is something that I would, at the very least, say consider. And that sucks. I don't want to say it. It's horrible that I have to say it. And I think it's something that everyone should consider. At least think about it. And also, if you're in the United States, consider moving to Canada if you can, and sponsor people doing that. Something I'm going to try and look into doing as well is sponsoring people moving to Canada. for myself, it's something that I'm thinking about. Part of my brain is telling me more than likely what I want to do is stay in the United States to pursue the things that I'm finding joy about. Like, I do want to make still like short films and make art and things like that. That being said, and also beyond that, just like wanting to stay here in the United States to fight. You know, I am someone who wants to fight and, you know, make videos, and make political videos and make political art that fights for trans people, and have my body be on the line as best as I am able to do that. But also there is a part of me that is considering being like, maybe the best way to do that is to, hello, 69mega.com, during this speech. Being very, very clear, there's a part of me that's like, well, maybe I should move to Canada to protect myself. Because the things that I can do, like my art, can be done from anywhere. So I don't know. It's something that I think about. I'm thinking about, and what I would just say is, I'm not going to tell everyone. Yes, Chrissy of Hailfire. Yes, agreed. Everyone, if you do consider getting a firearm, train yourself on it too. Don't just buy one and say I have it. You need to train yourself. It is very important. Safety and how to use it is a necessary part of that. So what I will say right here is, I would encourage everybody at the very least, to consider, especially if you're trans, especially if you're queer, consider, where you live, and if you wish to stay, and be aware of your safety concerns. Just consider it, whether you have the financial means, to be able to move. If you are an ally, support people getting out or being in areas that are safe. Because one thing that people don't consider when we talk about like people moving is not everyone's going to have the financial means to move to another place. And also when people move, it lets people who are forced to stay there have less allies and people protecting them in community. So create communities, be vocal, protect people around you. I think that's deeply important. And the other thing that I would consider is please consider getting some sort of way to protect yourself. You know, whether that be a gun or something, like, and train yourself on it if you do it. I'm not going to say every single person needs to or should. Again, I hate guns. I think it's awful and disgusting that anyone has to have one. I don't think anyone should, ideally. But it is something that we're in a situation where I at the very least, everyone should be considering it. Whether or not you make that choice is up to you, but at the very least, you should all be considering it. And that sucks. I hate it. I hate that I have to say that. Hate it with a burning, fiery passion. So don't say here, I've seen people being like, Jessie wants to accelerate things. Jessie wants to be like, no. I'm being very clear. I do not want to, but I think it is something that we are at a place where it has to be considered. And that sucks, but you have to be willing to fight and defend yourself. And what level of fight is you know, a decision for everybody. But, you know, something I spoke about in my Andor video is we are not going to be able to fight back against the rising tide of fascism if we aren't willing to fight back and put ourselves on the line, whether that be physically, whether that be with our emotions. There's so many ways to do that, but it needs to happen. Everyone needs to be active, not passive in a fight against fascism and hate. So if you're someone that is considered being passive in this because you're not the person directly on the line, know that you will be at some point if you let others fall before you, and you'll have less of a community and less of an allyship. It takes us all standing together now to stop it from getting worse, and that's going to be costly because we're at a point where it's going to be costly no matter what, and that sucks. You know, whether it be our time, emotion, our bodies, our lives. You know, hopefully it doesn't require lives, but it's already costing lives. People are already dying. So at one point are we going to fight back? So I'll leave that there. All right, I need to get to super chats, so I just needed to talk about that because that was very important. So apologies I missed some super chats. I'm going to go through them really quickly here. But I just want, and I see everyone talking in there. Yeah, update your passports too. Everyone, I was sort of hedging my things on being able to move and hedging my things on getting a gun. Everyone should update your passport at the very least. Don't even like that one without question. Your passport should be updated now. Like that. Just do that. All right, let's get to super chats real quick. John Vinnels. So changing things really quickly. Making Pinocchio into an anti-fascist parable makes so much freaking sense because Pinocchio has always been about finding your own sense of self and not letting people decide what you should be. Manipulate people decide what you should be. Yes. Go watch Del Toro's Pinocchio. Such a great anti-fascist piece of art, and very much about like Pinocchio being about becoming himself and learning who his own self and not letting people manipulate you. And what I love about Del Toro is he very much makes the villains of that story capitalism and fascism. And I mean, Del Toro has always been anti-fascist for a long time, very clearly so. But the Pinocchio story is such a perfect way to resonate with that, because it is about finding your own identity. And the things that fascism does is it stops people from wanting to be themselves. It makes them a cog in some grander machine, and not letting them be themselves. And it also uses violence to fuel that, like an internal war to fuel this idea that that you should be a cog in this great machine. It's all about this great work and fighting back against this whatever group they pick, you know? So making Pinocchio fit into that story, I think, is perfect marriage of that. So yeah, no, I agree with you, John. Beardly, thank you again for your super chat. You said, slept in and missed the start of the stream. Also, Star Trek Prodigy, not sure if you covered it early in the stream, but so up for the next episode. Happy holidays, Jessie, and to everyone watching. Yeah, I won't spoil, but I will say I have already seen today's episode that came out was amazing. If you have not watched it, it might be Kate Mulgrew's best work in Star Trek to date. She is great in the episode. I won't spoil, but today's episode, complete, by the way, I just realized, like, complete, let's talk fascism. Now Star Trek Prodigy. Welcome to my channel. This is how we go. These are the swings of mood that we talk about here. But Star Trek Prodigy was a fantastic episode. I have seen the final 2 episodes of the season already because I got the screeners, so I won't spoil for you, but they're great. I have one thing that I'm like, I'm not sure I totally love that, but other than that, the rest of this season finale, the next 2-part season finale, amazing. And today's episode was quite possibly Kate Mulgrew's best performance in Star Trek. Hands down, it's really good. Okay. Going further. Carlisle the Cinephile said, do you think there should be another God of War game after Ragnarok? I honestly think Ragnarok was such a beautiful ending to Kratos' story, and doing another game would cheapen that. I 100% think there should be another God of War game. I think there definitely should. I think you should allow it some time. Like, not be, maybe like Sony Santa Monica should do a different game before they go back to God of War, but I think they definitely should do another God of War. But make it less about Kratos. Actually make, spoiler for God of War Ragnarok. So if you have not played the game, just plug your ears. I'll make this about a minute, so I won't spoil much more than that. What I would do, if I was making a God of War Ragnarok game, what I would do is make it about Atreus, and Kratos is there. Like, maybe you see him, or he comes up, but the game is Atreus' story. And Kratos will maybe appear in that story, but it's Atreus's. And still have Kratos around, but make it about Atreus. That would be how I would do it. But I definitely think there should. I think there's plenty of room. And I think they already teased it. They teased that the next one's going to be, I believe, Japanese focused. Because Tyr is doing some, I think, some specific, like, Japanese martial arts things in the finale of the game. So I think it's going to be Japanese focused. This is the next game, which would be kind of fun. So I could see them ending it there too, Luna. But I think so. I think you should do another one and focus it in the way that I said. I won't spoil anymore. But focus it the way that I said. Trek Filter is our Tuvix name. Geek Filter R2, yeah. Trek on the Tube and Geek Filter combined together in a Tuvix way is Trek Filter. Exactly. Okay, catching up on more super chats. Oh, my stream just froze. Sorry if hopefully I didn't miss the super chat here. Beardley's did another. Thank you, Beardley, for being so generous. I'm gonna try and run because we're getting close to being an hour. So I'm gonna quick run through some of these super chats really quickly. Othelus Maximus, hard to you. Apologies if I missed one because my chat jumped ahead, but you said your Andor video is dope, and Rip Nemec from Andor having your nuts crushed by the same 80 million bucks you stole is a great way to die for the revolution. Thank you about my Andor video. I'm so proud of that video. I spoke about the Superman Cavill situation earlier. Mark Moe, hard to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. 2 things I'll say about that because I'm trying to boss rush these super chats here, but Andor. One thing I didn't mention in my Andor video about Nemec is Nemec got crushed by Capital. What a metaphor. It's not subtle. I didn't mention it, but it's a great metaphor. Also, if you love Nemec, I actually watched this past weekend a movie called it's a French movie, so it's said something in French, but it translates to The Translators, and it is in Nemec. The actor who plays Nemec is the star of that movie, and it is. I am convinced that Tony Gilroy saw The Translators, and that's why he decided to cast that actor for Nemec in Andor, because The Translators is it hits on very similar themes as Andor. If you are a very anti-capitalist person, which most of you should be able to assume, go watch The Translators. It is such a movie about solidarity and communication and how capital sort of distances us from each other and tries to set us against each other, but how it's all about like the pursuit of wealth in that, and that's what it sort of sets people against each other. It's such a great metaphor movie. I cannot recommend it enough. It's such a great twisty film. So I would recommend The Translators. Quick pitch on it is a bunch of translators who speak a different language. Each speak a different language. Are put into a bunker where they are told they are going to translate a famous book all at the same time, and they're not allowed to share out the book story because it's a very prioritized book. Everyone wants. It's like, imagine like the last Harry Potter book sort of thing, except for not written by a transphobe. It's the last Harry Potter book. They're all going to translate it at the same time, and then it's going to release at the same time once they translate it. But somehow the pages start getting out on the internet, and the publisher is being extorted for money. And so he thinks it's one of the translators, and so locks them in the bunker and forces them to like try and out who the other translator is. It's Nemec is one of the translators. It is so good. It's a fantastic movie. I highly recommend it if you can get your hands on it. It's a French film, so be aware that it's definitely there. It's some of it. It's like it's numerous languages, so they do speak English sometimes. So it's about translating. So it's numerous languages. But yeah, you will have to read subtitles unless you speak a lot of languages. Hard to you, Johnny says, frankly, a lot of the classical literature is highly political. Most literature is political. I would say, frankly, all art is political. Catcher in the Rye is very much about the expression of being autistic and isolated from the... Yeah, very much so. Agreed. Like all art is political. And people who don't recognize that don't understand what the point of art is, to be very frank. John Vindles, hard to you, said, meanwhile, The Stand by Stephen King and The Road by Cormac McCarthy are using the tropes of post-apocalypse genre to depict loving communities as superior to talk. Yeah, 100%. Again, like, everything is political in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, The Road and The Stand are two great books about that. I love both those books. Yeah, Fat Culture Critic. Yes, that's another thing that everyone should do. Everyone should get first aid training. 100%, I agree with you. By the way, Sarah, signing you love. And thank you for your messages this weekend. I won't talk about the situation, but I appreciate you, Sarah. Thank you. I just wanted you to hear that from me. It was very much appreciated. So, Sarah, sending you love. Chrissy of Hailfire, Heart to You, said, if you feel the need to overfire, just make sure you do training. I already talked about that earlier, but yes, I think I mentioned your chat earlier. Let's see. Beardly Interesting, thank you again for being so... Your super chats are incredibly generous, and I appreciate you. Mwah. Super safe, everybody. Stay safe, everybody. I hope this is helpful. Also, yes, gun training is too important. At minimum, get bear mace or something. Yes, at the very least, get like the things that I will say 100% do. First aid training. Everyone should be. I myself have been forest first aid, wilderness first aid trained, and Red Cross first aid trained. I've got the certifications. I probably need to update them at some point. So I've got those. I update your passport. I've updated that too. And then get bear mace, which I actually do have. I have mace. And then consider moving, consider forming groups to protect each other in your communities, and well, you should be doing that one too. But consider getting moving, and consider weapon of some sort. But again, I've already spoken about that. Hantus, hard to use. So what social medias are you on other than Twitter in case Melon Tusk decides to ban all trans accounts? Yes, people should be more Civil Wars than I. So I am on Mastodon. I haven't really used it much yet, but that'll probably be where I go after Twitter implodes. But I'm also on Instagram. So if Twitter does definitively implode, I will almost certainly be on Instagram and Mastodon. So those will probably be the two to follow me on after this. And if there is like a Twitter alternative, I'll probably jump there too. So... Joe, hard to use, says, can you be an ally if you don't know any trans people? Love you, Jessie. Yes, of course. You know me now, Joe. So we you know me, and you also may not know that you don't know many trans people. There may be trans people around you who are not out as trans people, so you may know trans people. But yes, you're 100%. You can be vocal, be a good trans ally. You be vocal about your support of trans people. If someone says something transphobic around you, say no, that's not okay, actually. And that shows if there is a non-out trans person near you, that will tell them that you are an ally, someone's safe, that they can be around you and feel okay, and also just stops anti-trans bigotry from being normalized and being acceptable in areas that you're in. So yeah, 100%. If you don't think you know any trans people, and quite possibly don't know any trans people in your immediate area, you still can be a trans ally. There's still work that you can be done to be very vocal about trans people and being a trans ally. So 100%, there's a lot you can do. And being online, supporting trans causes, supporting trans creators, supporting, you know, trans awareness. Like there's a ton you can do, even if there's not a single trans person for miles around you. So yes. Tormusi, hard to you said, I just wanted to say you look very nice and I hope you have a lovely day. Oh, same to you. Mwah, I hope you have a lovely day as well, my friend. Any thoughts on the Cavill situation, which hard to you, by the way, Mark Moe. I actually talked about that early in stream. If you jump ahead, I talked about it near the start of the stream. Ryan R. Hard to you says, "'Twas the night before a capital mess and all through the house that a creature was stirring except the ghost of Jar Jar past, present, and future, reminding y'all you're adorable and take care of yourself." Aw, thank you, Ryan. You're adorable and take care of yourself too, Ryan. Mwah, sending you love. And I think that means I am all caught up on the super chats. Just double checking. Okay, no more super chats, but I'll hang out for a few more minutes. But let's just chat. But no more super chats, please. Let's see. Have you seen the front cover of Valley Page forthcoming memoir page? I haven't seen the picture. It's great. He looks awesome. But yeah, I'm very excited to see that picture, or see that book. I mean. Jesse, you have some thoughts about Hades 2 being announced? No, I mean, it looks cool. I have actually not played the original Hades game, which I want to. I just haven't really played it. I touched it a little bit. The game that I was actually more excited for from the Game Awards was the game from the creator of Celeste, who is a trans woman, I believe, by the way. Maddie Thornton. I'm trying to remember. It's called, like, Earthblade? What was it called? What was it called? Earthblade. Yeah, it was correct. It was Earthblade. Boo. Thank you, Beardly. Interesting. Earthblade. Because I love Celeste. One of the best games about anxiety and just a really fun game. I highly recommend Celeste, and so I'm very excited for Earthblade. That was the game at the Game Awards that I was very much excited about. The most excited about. And also the character Celeste is trans in the game. If anyone didn't know that. Nyx, that is the question. I will leave that at that for that, Nyx. Yeah. Let's just say it's not on me at this point to further the talks with YouTube about that stuff, and I will be open about that when it comes to a head. So I'll leave that as that point. That's all I'll say on that front. For now, I have thoughts, though. Anywho, Casey, you said, have you played Jedi Fallen Order game? And so thoughts on the upcoming sequel? Very excited about it. Love Jedi Fallen Order. Adore that game. Dark Souls and Star Wars. Mwah. Cal Kestis is great. Adore Cal Kestis. Though I wish, again, as much as I love Cal Kestis, I do wish they had, like, not had a white boy. A straight white boy be the lead of that game. But again, and I love the actor, love the characters, great. But can we get more diversity in our Star Wars media? Like Diego Luna being a freaking amazing Hispanic leading man, I think is awesome. And certainly you got like women and stuff in the main trilogy, but like I don't know, I would have liked someone else besides that. But that being said, he is a great character. I love the actor. I'm not hating on Cal. Just something I would have liked some of. But that being said, I love the game. The game was great. The gameplay was wonderful. I loved it, and I'm so pumped for its sequel, Jedi Survivor, I believe it's called. I'm so pumped for Jedi Survivor. Like, legitimately might be my most anticipated game of next year. I'm trying to think if there's anything coming out next year that I'm, like, more anticipated for. Like, Earthblade isn't coming out till 2024, and that's actually probably the top of my list of, like, most anticipated games at the moment. I know Spider-Man 2 is supposedly coming out, which I'm excited for, but I think I would put Jedi Survivor up there ahead of it. I'm sure if I looked at a list, I could find something here or there that I might be more excited about, but in terms of like big AAA game, Jedi Survivor is probably at the top of my list. I'm very excited for that game. People are giving James Hodge and Geek Filter thank you. You said, have you heard of Little Britain? It's one of the most problematic shows ever. I have not heard of Little Britain, though. It sounds like the BBC would make that, given what you're saying about it. And thank you, Geek Filter. I spoke about that earlier, Moonplug. I might game stream on Saturday. It depends on how tired I am and how much work I get done. I'm traveling next week, so Sunday until the new year, I'm going to be not home. Because Sunday, just to let everyone know my schedule, I won't tell you where I'm going specifically, but Sunday until the day after Christmas, I'm going to be traveling back home to New York to visit family there. And then after Christmas, I'm going to visit friends in the Los Angeles area for the new year. So I'm actually not going to be home starting Sunday for like several weeks. Though I have friends coming over to check on stuff and make sure the house is protected and take care of Newt and things like that. So there'll be people here taking care of Newt fairly regularly. But I'll be traveling for most of the next few weeks. So, let's see. Have you played Horizon Zero Dawn? Yes, I actually did a couple streams of it, I believe, and I love that. Like Aloy, the one thing about those, I love those games. The reason I brought that up, my travel plans, is because it just means my streaming plans might be. I'm still planning on streaming while I'm home. I'll be in a different setup, for sure. But I'm planning on streaming while I'm home if I get the chance. But we'll see how it all works out. Let's see. You said gameplay. The one thing is, I just wish they would make Aloy canonically asexual. I believe that's the awareness of the character, but I don't know if they confirmed that at anywhere in the game or outside of it. I'm not someone. I'm starting to evolve past the need for explicitly labeling characters within a game's text, in a movie, or being like, this person's gay. I'm kind of moving beyond needing that to be explicitly stated, but I do need it to be explicitly clear somewhere within either the game itself or someone saying it, to be very clear that this is what the character is. Well, I do think there's a need to discuss labels and discuss how people identify. I don't think that we shouldn't be doing that in the games or movies or TV shows. I don't always need a character to stop and be like, I'm asexual, but I think about more our flag means death. It's not even subtext. Our flag means death is very textually gay and very textually, I'm going to say, non-binary, as with one of the characters. That is textual, but there's no moment where the story stops and is like, these characters are gay, these characters are non-binary. So yeah. Yeah, I think that is everything. I should probably wrap out the evening, so I'm gonna send you all a heart. Thank you, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. I'm gonna wrap out. Oh, thank you, Culture Critic. Favorite Xmas Carol adaptation. Honestly, probably the Doctor Who one. I love the Doctor Who one. Matthew Jackson says, heart to you, new fan. I want to be strong enough to inform you to make the process so much more manageable. Thank you so much. Heart to you, my friend. I adore you. Mwah. All right, I'm gonna wrap out. I'm finishing up, everybody. Part of the reason I just got a slow message about some stuff. So I'm going to wrap out, everybody. Send you love. And I hope you're all doing well. Take care of yourselves.